week. The world is a different place now, but I'm gonna go all out of my way to ensure that I stay on schedule and all that good stuff. All right, so I'm gonna talk about how the government shutdown is affecting real estate investors now. Because the government's been shut down for over 2 weeks now, without an end in sight in regards to negotiation, in regards to how to fund the federal government. Now, this isn't a political video on any sort of level. You vote for who you vote for, you don't vote, I don't really care. I always say I don't argue with people unless we are talking about how I can make more money, how they can make more money. That's the only kind of argument I ever really want to have. So with that being said, vote for who you want to vote for. I'm not saying anything negative about the government, about corporate America, about the president, about Congress. No negativity here. Just talking about how this shutdown is affecting the U.S. economy. All right, so that's how, that's all out in the clear. All right, so let's get to the topic at hand, family. Now, being from the DMV area, I've been through 2 government shutdowns before, and the last one lasted up to 35 days, and it was this was right before the pandemic, if I recall. And the magnitude of industries got affected when shutdowns occurred. The article that I read the other day talked about how shutdowns disrupt financing, slows down housing programs, and shakes confidence in the market. Whether you own a single rental or a multi-property portfolio, knowing how a shutdown can impact your investments is essential. And before I go on, these are items that I have that are having a significant amount of revenue saved for moments like this. These are the times that having a significant amount of revenue saved for moments like this. Because let's just say hypothetically, if the government wasn't shut down, but one of your tenants actually, unfortunately, lost their job, and and they couldn't cover the rent, and you can maybe give them a month's grace time or things of that nature, or you proceed with eviction procedures and things of that nature. However, as a landlord and as a real estate investor, heck, even as a regular everyday working person, one always needs to have a significant amount of savings for a rainy day. We are in the rainy day season right now, and having a significant amount of savings is what it's all about in order for one to stay afloat and progress, and hopefully not regress, and hopefully not have to divest from the U.S. economy, if you know what I mean. So anyways, I leave it at that. But anyways, so before I go on, these are the times that are having a significant amount of revenue saved for moments like this, when the chance of tenants not being able to pay their rent because, say for instance, hypothetically speaking, if they work for TSA, Transportation Security Administration, or the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration worker who's lacking a paycheck but still having to show up to work because of their employer is shut down, it's not their fault as an employee. Being a landlord, one has to ensure that they have a significant amount of revenue to cover their rent, their mortgage. But obviously, if you're a landlord that's in a position where you don't have a mortgage, you own the property outright, you just have to worry about the property taxes and the insurance. And I hope that you would have insurance. You still want to have a significant amount of revenue to cover the monthly expenses, possibly even the utilities at the same time. Because you don't want the utility shut off and the next thing you know, a pipe bursts, and it's just a very big, unfortunate, but yet very expensive mess. You know what I mean? But anyways, okay, so article talked about the specific ways the shutdown will affect the real estate investor / landlord's lifestyle. Financing delays. Loans backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac can stall if the IRS or Social Security verification systems are offline. Housing programs, so Section 8 payments, shutdown scenarios are possible if the shutdowns drag on. And I have a funny feeling that the fact that it's October 18th right now, if there's not a deal that is done this week, then I have a funny feeling that the shutdown will persist until November. Anyways, economic pressure, missed paychecks, and delayed services create broader housing market risks, government shutdown conditions. And obviously right now we live in a time where consumer confidence, buyers, sellers, and renters may pause decisions, creating instability. Meaning that a lot of people are not trying to sell houses right now. And then let's be realistic. The school year is on. We're going into the holiday season. This is the slow down time anyways in America when it comes to people trying to buy cars, buy homes, or even move. So this is the time of year where moving companies, real estate companies, and various other different companies in regards to people moving and shaking lose money or the revenues get cut because they don't have the demand is not there. And with the government shutdown, that just doubles down on the lack of demand that's needed for people to move around and do things in regards to renting a new place, buying a new place, getting a new car, because if people don't know if they're going to have a job tomorrow or get a paycheck, then what is the purpose of getting an additional debt? Because we live off of the American economy is based off of consumer spending and the debt principle. So if no one's willing to get into more debt, no one's willing to spend money outside of what they need, then it affects the U.S. economy in regards to the White House, Governor's House, and Mayor's House. All right. Just had to put that out there. So anyways, and then remember that everyday regular working Americans, especially our tenants as landlords, have been financially struggling since the 2020 pandemic. Other things that have been affected by the shutdown, I will be talking about as well. But remember that people were struggling in a big way before the 2020 pandemic. People were struggling in a big way during the 2020 pandemic, and people have been struggling in a big way since the world opened back up. Things haven't been the best of the best, but in 2024 and 2025, things have been the hardest for regular everyday working people. With inflation, with the lack of jobs, and with more and more people living paycheck to paycheck and being stretched thin. So with people not being able to go to work, more and more people are being affected, and therefore they can't pay their bills. And I could get more deep into this, but I would usually do that on my Larry's Anything Goes LLC channel. Patterson Properties would just stick to the real estate. All right, so at the end of the day, mortgage processing, there's been delays. Private lenders may keep operating, but the IRS tax return verification and Social Security checks are often required for closing. So therefore, that is holding up the process of closing real estate deals. Rental property financing, FHA, Federal Housing Authority, and the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture loans typically slow down. Investors using these programs face longer approval times. Last but not least, data blackouts. HUD, Census Bureau, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics pause reporting. Investors lose access to federal housing and employment data needed for forecasts. So therefore, everything is at a slowdown and a stalemate right now until the federal government opens back up. Hopefully that happens sometime soon. I'll leave it at that. Once again, not doing anything political, not taking any side, not saying anything bad about the federal government or the private sector, because what's the point? But what I'm saying is, I think any reasonable human being wants there to be a reasonable resolution and a conclusion to what's happening, and so that the federal government can open back up and everybody can get back to work and do what they got to do. So don't forget, Patterson Properties, who wholesale real estate in the DMV area, in the Pennsylvania area, so check our links out. If you're a stock market investor, crypto investor, individual and time account investor, don't forget to check out Webull, Stash, Acorns, Crypto.com, Coinbase. All these platforms you'll be able to make money move, so you don't live broke like a fool. Don't forget to check out Larry's Anything Goes LLC online store. Don't forget to check out Larry's Anything Goes LLC on YouTube and various other social media platforms like X, Instagram, and of course TikTok, because everybody's on TikTok. But remember, you can't get fired if you own the company. It's 2025 going to 2026. Time if you know something. Do great beefy things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Make money move so you can live like fools. It's in Spanish. Enjoy la vida. Welcome to life.